This is The Metro on WDET. I'm Tia Graham. Nearly 2 years ago, the WNBA signed a massive 11-year deal to broadcast its games with partners Disney+, Amazon Prime, and others. And since then, the league has added other distributors. Now that more networks and streamers are airing these games, it should be as easy as going to your local bar to watch them. That was not the case for Alyssa Graff. She had to fight to watch women's games. Over the last year or so, Graf and her team have been gathering at local bars to watch women's sports. And now she hopes to open her own sports bar called Bar 9. It's a nod to the landmark Title IX amendment that, among many things, expanded women's access in education and sports. Alyssa Graff joins me now to talk more about these efforts. Alyssa, welcome to the Metro.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Of course, excited to be here with you. Alyssa, let's talk a little bit about National Women's Soccer League. It's the game plan. What was it like attempting to watch women's sports at the bar before you started the group?
Yeah, before we started Bar 9, myself and many other women's sports fans have had the experience of going to a sports bar, going to a restaurant, trying to get the women's game on the television, and either having to fight to get it on or just being told we can't show that because someone else is watching the men's game, or being relegated to a small corner of the bar and just saying, here, watch on this small TV over here.
I was going to say, where's the iPad or the old kitchen TV
Exactly.
your moms used to have?
Yep, that's
in the
it.
corner in the kitchen. Oh, wow. So, you're in the bar, you're asking, hey, can you guys just turn the channel really quickly? It's not happening. What did you want to watch?
Yeah, I grew up a huge fan of the WNBA, had season tickets to the Detroit Shock for all of the seasons that they were here. And so for myself, it's always been basketball. I also played soccer. And so getting that chance to watch the professional women play on a television at a sports bar, I wanted nothing more.
Growing up as well, we'll get into that, what sports means to both of us. I also was an athlete growing up. So, sports was huge in my family. But we're going to talk about Bar 9 right now. You don't have a brick and mortar yet. So, let us know how this plays out. Do you book the entire bar and fill the screens with women's games? Are they watching, parties? Is there watching parties happening? What's going on?
Yeah, so we started last May. We hosted our first watch party for the opening night of WNBA games. And we were overwhelmed by the response, had over 60 people at that first event. And what we do is we reach out to local bars. Sometimes they'll reach out to us, and we ask that they put on the game. They have the sound on, and we bring the people. And it's an incredible community of folks just there ready to celebrate women's sports together.
How receptive have some of the bars been that you've all reached out to over the last year or so?
Yeah, we've seen some incredible support. We, reach out, we say, look, this is what we're doing. And almost immediately, folks are coming back to us saying, yes, we'd love to have you, and we'd love to have you back again.
Yes, that's a good sign. That's a great sign that people are hungry to watch women's sports, especially together and as a collective. Is this a woman-centered space, or can anyone join and watch?
Anyone can join and watch. That's a common misconception, is that we're a sports bar just for women. That's not true. We're a sports bar that centers and celebrates women's sports, and we're here for anyone and everyone who wants to come watch women athletes be exceptional on the televisions.
I love that. So what sports did you play personally growing up? What was your favorite sport to play?
Yeah, so I grew up playing soccer and basketball. Basketball may have been a slight favorite of mine, but I, really worked hard to play college basketball and soccer as well. Added in ultimate frisbee while in college too. And, that all came in part because my mom played college basketball. And so she instilled in me at a young age, the importance of trying out new sports and finding something you love and really trying hard to excel at it.
Yes. Ultimate frisbee, I remember walking on Michigan State's campus watching the games, and I would just sit and just watch because it was just such a fascinating sport. So I could never catch the frisbee myself, so I just kind of gave up.
It's tough. It takes some practice.
It really does. So Alyssa, you just spoke about it just a little bit, but your mom played basketball, and she was playing when Title IX, when that amendment was passed. Talk about that. What did it mean to her?
Yeah, it was absolutely transformational. She grew up in high school having to play with the boys, And, she went to college at Lake Superior State, and she gets there and finds out there's a women's team. And she tries out, she walks onto the team, and then she finds out, why are all these women living together in the same house? And it's there that she finds out there's scholarships available. There's something called a scholarship. And so, at that point, she keeps working really hard on the team, and she earns a scholarship for that second year. And that was absolutely foundational to her being able to achieve, her degree and carry forward this momentum for women's sports, not only in her life, but for my life and, future generations.
I'm just thinking about the moment your mom understood that she could have a future, but something that could be foundational for her to be able to pursue her studies. That's something we take for granted often as women, coming up, about the, those things that our parents sacrificed or just went through in order to get us to where we are today. And I'm thinking about just how tremendous that was for her and for other women like her who have that similar story. How transformational. I mean, thank you for sharing that, because I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. How did that influence you as a young girl, though?
I mean,
she's a strong woman to do that.
She really is. And she comes from a family of strong women. I can still remember we have a great picture of myself at the first inaugural game with me, my mom, her mom, and my mom's three sisters all sitting in a row, just absolutely overjoyed to be there celebrating women's sports back in 1998.
That's amazing.
And so she, knew it was important for me to have role models. And so we had season tickets to the Detroit Shock for all of the seasons they were here. And I remember them being the role models, not only just for life, but for basketball. I modeled my play after some of them and really looked up to them, and also understood, like, you can achieve the highest heights of this sport if you want to. Which
is something, once again, amazing. I thought I was going to be Swin Cash for the longest. I thought I was going to be Swin Cash for the longest. I was not Swin Cash. But just to have that example, you really do understand. So is a women's sports bar needed, or should women's sports be more welcome at all the bars?
Oh, certainly. We are advocating for women's sports being front and center in far more spaces than beyond just what we hope to be our own in the future. Right now, with women's sports finally having grown in popularity over the last few years, we need a space like Bar 9 and women's sports bars now more than ever. Right now, these other sports bars that are not prioritizing women's sports, we're really having to fight to put on the game. And so in order to have that space where we can go with ease to watch women's sports, it's absolutely essential right now. And we know Detroit is ready to watch women's sports. We're seeing that time and time again with our pop-up watch parties. And so we know when we get our permanent brick and mortar space, people are going to show up.
I think about the love that we're seeing right now as well for the women's national hockey team. They were just in town not too long ago, and the overwhelming popularity of the sport and how it almost sold out LCA. It's just like you see that there's a hunger for it, and we have to respond. Can you find the game that you want to watch for watch? How do you find them when you do, have a watch party?
Great question. So typically we're focused on some pretty big games that are happening. So oftentimes, we're looking at nationally televised games. For instance, this upcoming weekend, we're hosting a Final Four watch party at Jay's Penalty Box in Ferndale. So, we know they have the televisions, they have the access to watch those games. As some of the smaller games, like PWHL, it's shown on YouTube. So when we partnered with Meantime in the past, we made sure, hey, are you guys able to stream YouTube? Can you make sure that you can stream the game and put the sound on? And again, overwhelming support for this. And these spaces are willing to work with us to make sure this happens.
And I can only think that, from a business standpoint, bringing you all in, it would just make sense to bring in a new audience base. Maybe folks who are interested in watching women's sports may not have frequented your bar before. So that's another way. I would think it would be a no-brainer.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And that's one of the incredible things we're finding at our watch parties, too. People will bring their friends to our watch parties who maybe aren't, all in on women's sports just yet. And then they come to one of these watch parties. They come and watch, women's basketball, women's soccer, hockey, whatever it is. And they are like, oh, what have I been missing out on this whole time?
Exactly. You're listening to The Metro on WDET, Detroit Public Radio. I'm Tia Graham. My guest is Alyssa Graff. She is planning to open a sports bar to watch women's sports in Detroit and Metro Detroit. So, as you said, sports were a big deal in your home growing up. So much has changed since your mom was playing, with the boys back in the day.
That's right.
From the USWNT fighting for higher pay, the growth and popularity of the WNBA, as we just heard with this new collective bargaining agreement, to the recent announcement that women's professional baseball is returning this year. Super excited about that. What does this moment of women's sports mean to you?
It means everything. For myself and those of us who have been fans of women's sports for a long time, this moment, we've just been waiting for this for such a long time.
Yes, we have.
We really have. And, the overwhelming support we've been seeing from the folks who come out to our events, it's just even that much more validating. We've seen the rise nationally, internationally of women's sports, and to see it also locally is really encouraging. And it just, it gives us all a little bit of hope, a little bit of community in this time when things sometimes feel a little bit lonely or desperate in different ways. And we know that sports can bring people together in a really important way. And I think women's sports is also unique in that sense, where it's a really welcoming space. We want to bring more people into the space to show just how incredible women's sports are. And, the rise in popularity of women's sports, we're saying, yes, we are here. We've been here. But come on in.
Come on in. I know I look for every year to watch women's volleyball, whether it's college, whether it is a professional, whether it's Olympics. I'm watching women's volleyball in some form. What does your mom think about Bar 9?
Oh, she is overjoyed. She has, at one of our watch parties, she was there. It was one of the first ones that we had. And, I think at the start she was like, "What, you're going to go start a bar?" And I was like, "Yes, Mom. And I know that this is really important and this is why." And, I think she was always very supportive, and even more so seeing the response we're getting at these events. And, she's addressed some of our events and just said, how grateful she is to see so many people here supporting women's sports when she was playing, it was an afterthought, right? And so, it's just been so incredible to go through this process, being local, having my family here as well. She's really, really supportive and supportive of my whole team too. She knows, the members of the Bar 9 team too, and everyone knows who my mom is.
She's a member.
She is a member too. She's got a shirt.
Yes. So once again, is your mom's living history. So to be able to provide something like this that your mom can see is, once again, is something that you can't even put into words. I can only imagine what that is. But before we let you go, we do want to get some of your analysis as a former ball player. Sadly, there are no Michigan teams in the Final Four.
Oof.
What do you make of the remaining four? Texas, UCLA, UConn, South Carolina.
Oh man, we've got some professional teams in the Final Four is what it looks like. Watching those games last night, I'm a huge Michigan fan, and it was a little tough to watch, but I think that they're going to come back stronger than ever. They've got this incredible sophomore class, and the teams left in the Final Four, we are going to see some incredible games. So we'll be watching the Final Four at Jay's Penalty Box in Ferndale on Friday night, and then we'll be watching the National Championship at 3rd Street Bar on Sunday afternoon. And come out and watch. It's going to be incredible.
It really is. If I get a chance, I just love watching women's, especially college basketball, especially this time.
March Madness.
The coaches.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah. They're so much fun.
Oh, my gosh. Alyssa Graff is the founder of Bar 9, and like Title IX, spelled with the Roman noodles, like Roman numerals. Let me get this together. Title IX. There we go. Bar 9. Alyssa, thank you so much for joining us on the Metro. I'm super excited. We're talking about sports. It's something that I can geek out over. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, I get to geek out about sports with Alyssa. Alyssa, we'll have you back. Thank you so much for joining us.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me.
Coming up, men's fashion didn't always include streetwear. We'll hear about the man who changed that. We'll be right back. This is The Metro.